I want to thank Rooster Teeth for allowing us time today here in their studio space out here in Austin, Texas. We are grateful to them, and we are grateful for this space. Today's guest is a comedian with a new special, Sledgehammer, coming out July 4th. He is a podcaster. He is the creator of YMH Studios. He is one of a kind, and we're grateful to have him back today, Mr. Tom Segura.
Shine that light on me. I'll sit and tell you my stories. Shine on me, and I will find a song. I will sing it. I'm on
Looking alive. Is that a Nirvana shirt?
What's that?
Is that a Nirvana shirt?
No, I think it's a Basquiat.
Basquiat?
Yeah, Basquiat.
What is it?
Basquiat.
Basquiat?
Basquiat.
Basquiat?
The artist, he overdosed.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
All the good ones do heroin, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that he had a big collabo with Warhol. 2 heroin addicts going at it. They made some cool together. I mean, it looks like drug addicts did it, but
Does it?
They were, yeah.
I never seen a lot of that Warhol stuff. I'm trying to think of a good artist that I knew growing up. I don't know if we had any art per se in our area, really.
Yeah. No, I didn't. I mean,
I don't think we had it.
I was exposed to a little bit of it, I feel like, as a kid. And then I had an uncle who was really into it. I think I like it more as I get older.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do like going into a place, like whether it's someone's home or a business, like people that have art colors popping. You're like, oh yeah, this is better than when you're young and everything's just like you have your apartment, it's just white walls. You're like, this is actually, you're like, oh, that's why I was depressed.
Oh yeah.
Like, this shit is sad as fuck. This is a sad place to be. And I remember like girls coming over to apartments when I was like in my early 20s and them being like, there's a fucking serial killer lives here, huh? And you're like, yeah, it's cool, right? You don't even think about it. You're like, this is sad as fuck.
You're like, oh, you like that? You like that Dateline-y vibe? Yeah, it is kind of when you look back. Oh, when I look back on some of the things that I considered, I guess, were art or whatever that I would hang on my wall.
Oh, dude.
I remember I got a jump rope one time and I was so fucking excited and I like hung that bitch all along the wall.
Yeah. And you're like, this is my shit.
Yeah.
And people are like, is this a rope?
Yeah. And people would come in, I'd be like, yeah.
No, and then you know what really does it? If you go, even if you just walk into the lobby of like a nice hotel and you're like, oh my God, like where they have like the bouquet of flowers.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, oh, this makes everybody feel calm and kind of like this. What it makes you go is like, I want to be here. I want to be in this room.
Yes.
Colors on the walls. And you're like, oh, this is nice. And then you all of a sudden it hits you years later where you're like, oh, I can do a version of that.
Yeah.
Like I could paint
Yeah,
the walls.
Yeah, I could do something to help out. Yeah, I think I've never, one of my friends came in my home the other day and he's like, dude, everything that's in here is stuff that was in here when you bought this house. Like,
You just kept the shit.
oh, there's not, yeah. And he's like, dude, your house,
Yeah.
it doesn't even seem like you live here. Like
Yeah.
you have to start doing something to make this your home.
Can I tell you, some things in life you just realize that you have to spend the money to do. And like I accepted that I am not a fucking interior designer, but I don't want the place to look as sad as those early apartments.
Yeah.
It is the thing, you have to call somebody. You just call
Really?
them. Yeah, you just call them. And what you do is they go, here's pictures of things. And you go, I like this and I like this. And then they go like, what do you think of this idea? And you're like, yeah. And then they just do it.
Wow.
And you go, yeah, that's worth it.
And it was worth it?
Yeah, it's worth it because it's your home. So you're going to walk in there every time and be like, oh, this feels awesome. And it feels like you because you want it to be things that you pick. But you realize that you're never going to do that on your own.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, you specifically just said that there's shit in there that was there like from when you bought it.
Oh yeah. There's
Yeah.
pit drawings of the previous family was black ownership and they
Black ownership.
there's 2 black there's like a thing
like
of
like a business. So you're like, this is a black owned fucking car dealership.
yeah, it's like Tulsa, whatever that thing was. But it was there's like some yeah, there's people that I don't know on the walls.
Oh,
you
really?
know? Yeah.
And
There's-
so you bought this place.
yeah.
They had left a few things, and you're just like, leave it.
Yeah, I just never got a plan. I think all the furniture, everything that's in there.
See, what I would do, all the furniture too?
Oh,
What I
everything.
would do
Beds,
is-
everything.
Wow.
Even awards, actually. I guess the man had won a couple of awards.
What kind of awards?
First black something or other, you know? So it's like, I feel bad keeping that,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Some
yeah.
of them are kind of cool,
Some
you
of
know?
them are cool. Dude, what you got to do is when you have somebody help you, design the place.
Yeah.
But have a few of those like photos or something that are still from when you got it. So it's mixed in. It's all Theo.
Okay.
But then when people are like, "What's up with this black family?" You're like, "That's previous owners."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're like, "Do you know them?" And you're like, "Nah, I like to honor them." You know?
Yeah.
They were
Yeah,
here
I want to have
first.
some honor for them.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, because it's there'll be nights where I'm groggy and I'm like, holy shit, I'm the first black, like, you know, commissioner of something,
Sure.
you know?
Yeah.
When I'm kind of just wandering around. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, man.
Yeah, thank you for coming and hanging out.
Absolutely.
I was trying to think about what was I looking at earlier that I was thinking about? I don't know.
Yeah.
Just how it is sometimes.
Yeah. It's hot.
Yeah, it's
Just makes
getting
you
hot,
wanna-
huh?
Yeah, it just makes you want to not think.
Do you think there's something nice about, like, I've lived in places where I never had air conditioning, right?
Yeah.
And it's tough, but there's also something that's kind of like primitive and real about, like, I feel like the dreams I had at night were a little more like,
Yes.
like I would be sweating in my sheets. Does that make any sense to you?
1,000%. 1,000%. And it's, the thing is too, is that it's pretty easy to snap your head back into the physically hottest, most uncomfortable times in my life. Like I can actually, you say that, and immediately I go to this Florida Keys trip I took when I was 14.
Ooh.
And we were down in the Keys, and it was hot. It was like May, June. It was hot as fuck, and they had no AC. And I just literally remember that. I remember doing, I worked construction for my friend's family, and we were, the dad had bought an apartment complex, and he had to redo the apartments. So they stripped them down, and then we laid tile and grout in apartments in the summer in Florida. I mean, we're talking like, it's 100 degrees with 100% humidity, and you're on your knees, just like, but there's not even wind. There's just right. But like,
and you need children for that labor.
you definitely do. You can't have actual adults.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was, but like, as soon as you say that, like I just immediately remember those moments. And then there's something about like physically, like, cause you hate it. I mean, in the moment you're like, I hate this, but you do kind of feel like you're in a different place. Like you really feel like you're working. You really feel like your dreams are just about air blowing on you. That's like the simplest type of dream you have. Or how amazing in those moments is a cold Gatorade. Like you know what I mean? When you're like, you feel, and then somebody goes, they pull it out of a cooler. And you're just like,
it was as strong as I could be.
And there's nothing sweeter in the world.
Oh, it's so good. And you can even taste the flavor. If you're comfortable when you have a Gatorade, I don't even know. Sometimes you're like, I don't even know what flavor.
Yeah, like
this
what
is.
flavor do you like? Any of them? I don't know.
Who cares? Yeah, it's like ice. Like floral ice or something. Gay bash. You're like, that's a flavor. That's insane.
Yeah, it's always now. It's like polar plunge, and you're like, just give it. I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't care what color it is.
Bitches, and you're like, this tastes.
This tastes actually pretty amazing.
Yeah, this is good, dude.
I didn't realize I wanted a gay bash, but I do now.
I'll take it on ice, brother.
Yeah, that's those. Yeah, you could think of like the fucking most uncomfortable you've ever been, hot and cold, I guess.
Cold. I don't think I had too much real coldness in my life. Thank God.
There's people that are just not. It's funny. Like my trainer, he's he's one of those dudes that is like, he just is. They get after it. They're disciplined.
Yes.
And like he eats right, He works out hard. Like, come on, like let's push, like go. Let's, just another one. Like that's what that's who they are. They're coaches, And the heat, he's like, I like to be outside when it's 100 and run, and like people are like, you're gonna fucking pass. Like he likes it.
Yeah, some people want to go there.
They want to go there, but the dude has no tolerance for cold, which I find hilarious. He doesn't like cold weather. He doesn't like the cold plunge shit, and like I don't know, it's kind of fun to like
catch him on the other side.
Yeah, catch him on the other side.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's cold, and he's just like, man, I want to get to a warmer place. You see his whole personality change. Yeah, I love it, dude.
Yes, I guess the cold really. I remember at one time it snowed in our town, and people had never seen it, and people were yelling shit at the sky and just yelling like racial slurs at clouds and shit. Yeah, people were. Just like these ice N-words, just people yelling shit outside. And some kid went outside and got hit by an icicle. It was like the first icicle that probably ever fell in our area. And that bitch fucking hit him right in the cheek. And his mom tried to sue the city for 8 years, dude. It was this huge thing. And she's like, Ricky would have been different. And everybody's like, Ricky fucking was never different. Ricky was always just
gonna be Ricky.
Ricky was never. Ricky never had a chance. You
think Ricky was gonna be a senator or something?
Ricky was not.
Ricky was always gonna be cleaning gutters. No chance.
Ricky was at best gonna be a drunk driver.
Yeah, that was like if he achieved.
Yeah. Like that's how he got his name in the paper. But, dude, what was that? Oh, they used to have those cool things. Did you ever see that? Like they had Evel Knievel. Remember those times?
Yeah, sure.
So it was probably before our time a little bit, but they had who's this guy? They had a guy.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about. There we go.
This is Jimmy the Greek.
Remember this shit, dude?
Wait.
Warm-up lap coming out of turn 4, heading for the straightaway. 11,360 pounds of bus will be hurling itself in air off a ramp over 20 motorcycles. Jimmy's going to attain a speed of 75
Jimmy the
miles
Greek,
an hour.
I think.
What? That is fucking so stupid. That's so stupid, and I love it. We don't even get to do shit like this anymore.
Look at
The axle fell off. Yeah.
26-year-old Jimmy Cooper.
And look, they're going to rescue him, dude.
Yeah.
You got to let this guy die.
Can you imagine just telling somebody about your accomplishment? Like this dude's like, who are you? Like I jumped over 20 motorcycles in a school bus, and they're like, oh wow, that's you? Like, that was me.
That's you. Ooh, when he hit that ramp, dude. There's so much kickback from that when the front nose hit the ramp. I think that's fucking cool, dude.
Yeah.
God, it was fun. Did you ever ride the bus to school?
Oh yeah, of course. By the way, is there more than one Jimmy the Greek? Is that the Jimmy the Greek that we all know? You know what I mean? The commentator.
Oh, that's
wasn't
the
that-
flying Greek, this guy.
This is Jimmy the Flying Greek.
Ah, okay. I was like, there's no way that guy
Yeah, there was the other guy.
that was a commentator.
Oh,
was
Jimmy
doing-
Snyder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this guy.
Yeah, I'm like, this fucking guy's driving the bus? Like, that would be crazy.
Oh, yeah, he got busted for what?
Yeah, I think it was a racial thing, right? Wasn't it? It was it was 70s or 80s. It was, racial comments and dismissal, 1988.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he said, that people were bred to be in better shape.
Superior athletes, yeah. The black is not a good way to start a sentence. The black is a better athlete to begin with.
This guy's out of his mind.
Yeah.
I mean, he's on point.
I mean, he's definitely right, but you don't say it like that.
Yeah, you got to pretend like you don't think that.
Yeah.
Or you just don't say it. But what about you see guys like...
But isn't it so great to picture him driving that bus?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like you're like, that it actually looks like a bus driver.
Oh, yeah, dude. Bro, we had a guy in our neighborhood named Milford, right? And this dude never had a shirt, or he couldn't be in a shirt. Something was wrong with him. And he would drive us fucking with no shirt sometimes. And sometimes he wouldn't even take us to school, and the police would all come pick us up off the bus.
Really?
And take us in their cars, yeah.
That reminds me of Ariel Castro. Remember him? That's the guy that kidnapped those 3 girls and kept them in a basement in Cleveland.
Oh, yeah.
There was a huge national story. He was a bus driver in Cleveland.
Oh.
And one time, before he got caught, obviously, before this whole thing exploded, he just got mad and left the kids on the bus and just abandoned the bus. And he he was suspended. That was it. He was suspended for a year. But this dude this guy was driving kids to school for a living.
Probably just picking out the best ones, interviewing them for years at a time.
Yeah, he was
Like, all right, come back. We'll talk again next week.
real fucking psycho.
I wouldn't want to have anybody kidnapped in my house, I don't think.
Especially 3 people.
Oh. Well, at least if you have, they say if you have goats, you shouldn't have just one.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah, my mother we were going to get my mother a goat, and then when she found out she had to have 2 goats, she's like, I don't want 2 goats.
Yeah, I want 1.
Yeah, but one, will they get so sad that they can't stand themselves?
Yeah, I don't think Ariel was thinking like that, but
Yeah.
he was he was a real shitbag of a human being for sure. It was crazy to watch him. I remember when the story, it was such an unbelievable story because he had them for years.
Yeah.
And he was such a psycho that he would join the search parties.
Oh.
Like when they would have annual, he would go to those, and then he would go back and tell the girls, like, people are still looking for you, and laugh and stuff. Like, he was real.
I wonder if
psycho.
when they were walking down the street, he'd be like, you're getting warm. That would be crazy,
Would
right?
be insane. Or if like they start to walk up to his place, he's like, I would take a left here.
Nope, just check this place
Yeah,
out. He's just
yes.
fucking doing stuff like that.
And he had, the funny thing is like
God.
the way that like the human mind works is that the one that he trusted, there's the 3, and the one that he trusted, he had a baby with when she
yeah.
was there. And so he so trusted how fearful they were that he would leave her like unchained and free.
By
And she
themselves.
was so brainwashed and scared that, yeah, she would just stay until the day that she didn't. But she never, it was pretty wild, man. But he was,
It's like Bert and Arby's, I feel like.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
I feel like it's like he would stay in there.
He will never leave. That roast beef is like it's like a girl in his basement. The roast beef and him are one. for
How
sure.
interesting that Bert has made his own sound in the world. How many people have made their own sound?
That's a really good point. You're doing it. Yeah. The
Who has
start of
that?
it, that type of squeal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's so. I think you can only make that sound if you enjoy yourself that much. He's so pleased with himself. I've never met somebody who is so enamored with themselves. Like, yeah, and then he'll be like, I understand that, like, people get exhausted of me, and I'm like, oh really? He goes, unless you like me, then you can't get enough. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, he's like, and I'm like, well, which one are you? He's like, I definitely can't get enough of me. I'm like, God. I'm like, how do you have this much love for yourself?
He's got to enjoy it. That's true, huh? He probably wakes
Yes.
up every day and he's like, yes,
I'm awesome.
I'm Bert again.
It's funny because everybody usually struggles with the other side of that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not good enough.
He doesn't, huh?
I mean, I don't think, like, well, maybe, but it's like, it's so morphed into this other thing. Or like with bodies, like everybody who, it goes like, I wish I didn't have this belly, or like, and then he's just like, I look fucking great. And you're like, wait, what? It's like, you're focusing on the wrong thing, which is what like a psychologist would tell you.
Yep.
They'd be like,
Focus
but
on
look
your good
at your
assets.
great shoulders. And then they would be like, oh, okay. You're right. Yeah. And then he's just like, yeah, I automatically do that. I look fucking great. And you're like, okay. All right. I was
wrong.
you're like, I was looking at you and actually picking everything apart. But yeah, you do have nice delts.
Yeah, you have legs like a snowman. So,
Yeah, these little pencil legs.
I guess I was looking pretty crazily.
Yeah, man. It's
Yeah,
pretty
that
wild.
is interesting, man. Yeah, I think he has an infallible, and I don't know what that means, but he has like this ability to, he has a fucking there's something about him that's unfucking defeated.
Yeah. Well,
It seems like it anyway. I mean, you know him so well.
you're right. You're right. It's that ultimately he really buys into, I'm going to bet on myself in every aspect. I believe in myself, and he's not going to wallow in like any of the negative stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He's somebody like, and that's also something that you would be taught, like, just keep moving forward. That's him all times. He's going. I think almost to his own detriment, where like you need to go like pull back a little bit. Be present in this, because I think he's just like
The race is over, but he's still going.
he's still
Yeah.
That's exactly what he's doing. He's still running, and they're like, this is over right now.
Yeah.
You can then he just goes and goes and goes. But
It's interesting.
he he gets like, it's funny because people just see like a shirtless, morbidly obese lunatic.
Yeah.
And they go, this guy's a fucking
This guy gambles.
yeah, he's a mess. And he is all those things,
Mm-hmm.
but he's actually, I'd say he's actually a lot smarter than he gets credit for, because it's easy to go, this guy's just a dope and he's drunk.
Yeah.
But he's actually like, I mean, I'm honest, like seriously, he, as far as ideas too, like creatively,
He's an idea man.
dude. And I don't think people give him any credit. Like, he busts out ideas. You could go, if you went up to him and you're like, I want to have a television show. He would throw you
Give you an idea.
10.
Wow.
He'd throw you 10. And then you're like, I don't like that one. I don't like that one. That one's, and then you'd be like, whoa, I think that's the best idea I've heard for that.
That's a good one.
Yeah, he really is.
Le está gustando mi podcast? That is Spanish for are you liking my podcast? That's Spanish. And Babbel is how you can figure one and the other out. That's Babbel, the language learning app. It'll help you with Spanish, that's for sure. You can learn it there. With Babbel, you can start speaking a new lenguaje in just 3 weeks, a new language. Here's another one. We gefällt dir mein Podcast. And that is German or German for how do you like my podcast right there. They can do it. With over 10 million subscriptions sold, Babbel is real language learning for real conversations. If you're going to be sitting around doing nothing, you can be learning another language. Maybe you want to adopt a kid. The kid is Norwegian. You don't know how to say, hey, we want to adopt you. You can learn. Babbel will help you meet the kid. Here's a special limited time deal for our listeners to get you started right now. Get 55% off with your Babbel subscription at Babbel, BABBEL.com/Theo. That's 55% off at BABBEL.com/THEO, spelled Babbel.com/Theo. Rules and restrictions may apply. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. You got to know that. If you're sitting there right now and you're listening to this and there's something uncomfortable in your life, there's something you can't tell anyone, there's something that keeps popping into your head and it's really causing you a lot of discomfort or pain. If you're just, you don't know what's going on with you, if you're having a tough time, those are reasons in the past where I've sought to seek help, and BetterHelp can do that for you. That's right. It's easy to get caught up with a new professional. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. That's right. Therapy can help give you tools to better deal with your own life. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Theo to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/Theo. Yeah, sometimes you see there's only a couple things you can see. You don't even see people's other. You don't get a chance. Maybe other things overshadow them. You don't get to know them in other regards. I think that a lot of the UFC fighters. Some of them are so cool at other shit or so funny or whatever.
Yeah,
you never even get to know because they're just seen as like this warrior.
Well, because it's easy. It's all of us want to go, that's who this is.
Yeah.
And it's easy to define people as one dimensional.
Yeah.
Like Theo's a Southern guy and he's a comedian. And that's all you are. And you should I want to be able to describe him in this way.
Yeah.
If you told me he likes sailing and skeet shooting, it doesn't add up. So I'm not going to, they don't want to hear it. They just want to hear
This is who he is.
This is who he is, and it make it simple and it's like when somebody goes, somebody says they like guns, they go, oh, so you're like a conservative, right wing, Second Amendment champion, and someone was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I just like going to the shooting, like
Yeah, you're like, I'm just a Tech 9 fan or something.
Yeah, exactly. But like so many people go, well, that doesn't. If you like this, then you are this type of person.
Yeah.
And what the truth is that like a UFC fighter can like the ballet, you know, like it just doesn't. But a lot of people just don't want to think outside of what is comfortable because then it might shatter everything that they believe.
Oh, that's true,
You know? Yeah, man, because they don't want to think that somebody
that a redneck guy could have a black buddy that he's not afraid to do sleepovers with.
Exactly.
Because it would fucking ruin their whole ball of wax.
Exactly. And then they don't get to be lazy thinkers because that's essentially it's being lazy to go, I want to easily define everybody with like, oh, he's from here. He's this type of guy. Got it.
That's what he is.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, that's interesting, man. I got to keep tabs on my brain sometimes when it tries to do that. Because sometimes
We all do. We all do. Yeah.
But then sometimes it's also fun if you're joking around, it's a stereotype. And
Yeah,
you
of
have
course.
to be able to do it.
Of course. I mean, I think of like these like comics like Brian Simpson. Do you know Brian? He's so funny. And what I love is that he challenges what people will think.
Yeah.
Because they want to define him, you know, like they go like, oh, he's black.
Yeah, he seems like maybe like a bus driver's son or whatever.
But they go like, oh, he served in the military. So then somebody will be like, well, he's my guy. And then you go and you talk to him and then you realize, no, but he also, he has left-leaning thoughts and ideas. He's
a blood donor.
He's
You're
a
like,
blood
whoa,
donor.
whoa.
Even bone marrow, he'll go that far.
Oh, God.
And then, but like the thing is like, you can't easily just define the
No,
guy.
you can't.
Because the guy's an original thinker. He has, he has moderate thoughts. He has left, because like everybody, he's a multi-layered, complex individual.
Yeah.
And as like from an audience standpoint, when you watch a guy like that, that's fun because you go, well, if he was ex-military, he must be like this. It's like, no.
Yeah.
And his ideas are just original, you know? And I love that he challenges people's idea of what he's supposed to be.
Yeah. Do you think, Brian is a really unique dude. He's interesting to hear. I like how he's kind of a little bit patient with it. You know, it's like, he's kind of that silent killer. He's like emphysema.
Oh, yeah. He is exactly emphysema. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, and that takes like real skill
Yeah.
and years of smoking. Like you don't just get there. Like that's confidence. And you got to be good, honestly, to take your time. People who take their time are the most fun to watch, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good statement.
Now, the Ron White had this great, I think he told Christina this. He goes, "Don't he's like, just remember, if you're doing bad up there, slow down. If you're doing good up there, slow down. Like across the board,
Right.
drop it down a notch, right? Because everybody's instinct a lot of times is like speed up, like faster, more. And then you get it on both sides because you're like, yeah, if I'm dying up there, I want to get like, let's just go. Maybe I can run through this and I won't suffer as badly.
Yeah.
And if you're killing, it's almost like this level of excitement.
You want to keep the gas going.
Go. And it's like, just slow down.
Did you ever get in moments where I've found, like, even looking back on some shows where it's like, man, I was in such a pattern of doing my material that becomes almost not a problem, but it becomes something I have to contend with each show. Like, how do I make this feel original to my face, to my everything?
Absolutely. I mean, I call it press play performing. When you get into the pattern so much that it's like you press play on on your remote.
Yeah, and you're like right here and right now I'm supposed to be right here.
Here's the show. And you just do the show. Yeah, the great thing is that you have the ability to recognize that it's happening. And what happens first, I think, is that you're out there doing show after show after show. You go, what is going on? And then you realize, oh, I'm stale, I'm bored, and I'm doing the same fucking show beat by beat. And even like you said, facial, like I turn my face here and I do this and I gesture like this and it's hitting the mark and it's bad. It's bad for you.
Yeah.
And so you start the first thing I try to do is go, I have to open the next show differently, whether it's a joke from the act that I move to the front, or I'm gonna riff at the front, or I'm gonna write a new, like I have to start differently, because sometimes if you start the show like completely differently, it gives you this energy for the rest of the show. Like this something inside you changes. I really think the key to all of it is that when you're in that zone of doing the same shit, you have to challenge yourself to create something new.
Yeah.
Because there's no juice like that. There's nothing that feels better than a new thing. But it's also work that you don't have to do. So that's why it's a challenge, because you're like, I have the show works.
Right, it'll be fine.
It'll be fine without me doing that. But it's the only way to get through that feeling of like, this sucks right now. I'm not having fun.
Yeah. And there's a little other element that happens. There's some other magic in the room whenever if you can get that freshness somehow.
It's like the right word for it is magic, because there's no other way to, like, you can only say it to other people who have done it. But I just remember that, like, when I was touring Europe, I'd just written some new stuff, and then I opened the show, and like, you start with such a pop but it's a fresh pop, because you're like, this is my new toy. Like that I was performing the rest of the show with such a level of like excitement. And then I would get off, and the people that, like, the tour crew would be like, they're like, man, you're having like so much fun out there. And you're like, yeah. And you know why? Because of the first 5 minutes of the show. That carried me through the hour.
Yeah.
And then there's like, you realize in those moments, you're like, well, anytime I feel stale, what I need to do is that I need to like try something new.
Yeah.
That's what it is, you know? And like, it kind of applies to life too, right? People who get like, oh, I'm bored. I'm like, you got to try something.
That's true. Yeah. If you're bored, if you're with your spouse in the bedroom, if you're bored with your buddy and you're just sitting somewhere,
you got to order a toy.
Yeah. You got to order. Yeah, dude. Yeah. You got to turn on the
thing that like it goes around under, like it's like cinches the top of your ball bag, and then there's the other part on your dick, and so you have two clamps going down.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that'll change you and your friends.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Like relationship for sure. You and that black guy that are doing the sleepover, you're gonna have the best night.
Dude, I remember one of the first times I realized that black and white people were different. We were riding in a truck, in the back of a truck somewhere. And our basketball coach was taking us somewhere to probably do work for him for free, because he was kind of like that. And we got to a stop sign. We'd been going like 50 miles an hour. And my black buddy, this kid, Mike, he goes, what's it like to have your hair blow in the wind? That's what he asked me.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I was like, wow, that's interesting.
And it takes you a second, right? You're like, what? And then you're like, oh, yeah. Yours just kind of moves all together. Like,
yeah, it was just, you
got a dent in your shit right now, man. Yeah.
Dude, yeah, you have like a fucking twig stuck in your shit.
You actually need to go see someone to reset everything.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else has been interesting going on. Dude, you got into fitness a lot recently, huh?
Yeah, I mean, on the last tour, you know what happened was that, like, I always like do it somewhat.
Right, because you guys have done that Sober October for a while.
But even like before that, it was always like, I mean, that would be another time, but I would get like to a certain point, and then I would have the mentality of like, oh, I got there. Like, it's almost like the race is over. Like, I'm done. Like, now I'm good. Like 10 times or more. And so that what happens is when you go like, I'm done, you just kind of retreat back to old habits, and you get out of shape. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, fuck, how'd this happen again? And then you go, I'm going to do it again. And then you go, all right, I'm going to work out and eat clean. And then you lose weight, and you start to and then you go, oh, I got to this number again. Or I feel, and then you just kind of pull back. And so it really was that I got frustrated by that. And I had this, I was on tour, and we were working out on tour, but not really like dialed in on food. We were and the tour was like aggressive, like nonstop. And I remember that I got back to LA to shoot this thing. I was shooting this pilot I had written, and I was covering the whole production. And I remember I was in the wardrobe fitting for it, and I was like, shit, this is like I feel like I'm going back, like in the fitting the clothes. I was like, oh, this sucks. And then I left there, like after that week, and I was like, I have to take this more seriously. But the difference is that I no longer go, if I see a number that I like on a scale, that means I'm good. It's just, I realized that you have to do it, like that there is no end. There's,
Right.
It's just continuous.
Right.
It's like, it's something that you just, if it's about goals, you just have to set new goals. You know, like if you can't go like, oh, if I see this number, I'm at the weight I like.
Okay.
You have to set new fitness goals. Like you have to go, well, this month is about, you know, like cardio stuff, or this month I want to see if I can do 200 push-ups a day. Like you have to set goal. That's what I mean,
So that's what happened for you. Had you been doing that before in your life, setting like, I mean, I know we have sometimes subconsciously we set goals we don't realize, and we have some of that going on in our general life. But had you ever done it that specifically before? We were like, I'm gonna set a goal.
I kind of loosely, I would say, you know, like, hey, this month let's go after this type of thing, and
Yeah.
things like in Sober October. But this was also the time where I was like, you know, this really, as like cliche as it sounds, can be like a lifestyle change. And now I realized how much I am affected, not just physically, mentally, emotionally, by, and in a good way, by my like working out a lot and like waking up, getting my stuff together, going to the gym right away. And I'm like, I'm just having a better day. I'm just happier.
Yeah.
I'm moving around better. I look better. I feel like, so I just go, I feel like I have better creative days, you know, like it's all kind of tied
That's
together.
huge.
Yeah, it's tied together. So I just made it like part of what I do. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, I know that I want to eat certain types of food that are good for me. And by the way, I'm not saying this like I am the most strict dude and don't ever, but I'm just like, there's just so much more
Oh yeah.
clean eating.
Yeah.
And I like the workouts. I like it. You know, I like being active, and I just feel like I'm very fortunate in that I have a full-time trainer. So
Yeah.
like I know I'm not.
Right. Not everybody has that.
I totally understand that, and it's a huge advantage. And so sometimes people will be like, well, "Yeah, of course you can do that." If you, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm very lucky that I can do it." But you also just have to want that in your life.
Yeah.
And
Well, even having a buddy that goes with you to the gym, that used to be one of the funnest times when I was young, dude. We would go, and we used to do steroids back in the day. And
really, what kind of steroids would you do?
oh, dude, test 200, 400. We might have did a fucking 1100 they came out with for like fucking a couple. Like,
I take some tests though.
Do you? What do you? Are you with
vitamin T? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A couple
Yeah,
jabs,
we would
like a couple
do that.
jabs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you doing the butt cheek?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost gets kind of fun. I hate to
Yeah.
say that, and I don't
Well,
want to.
but see, I take a moderate dose though. Like,
Right.
I was like, oh, this is gonna be wild, and they're like, not with what we give you.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
Like they're like one of the guys was like, oh, he's like, how much you taking? And I tell him, he goes, that ain't shit. He goes, I would take 3 times that amount in one session. I was like, what? But he was also a bodybuilder. And I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to do that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just want to recover more and
Yeah.
level
And it
out.
makes me, I remember, I also tried a testosterone that was like, I saw on the internet, you know, I fell into one of those deals one
Yeah.
night, and, you know, I bought like a couple weird shirts on Facebook, and next thing you know, I'm buying like tests from some company who's mailing it. Right?
Yeah.
And they mailed it with like some ice and like a fucking, like that's when you know shit is a little weird, when they're mailing you all the needles and the ice and
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I tried that for a while, made some of my hair fall out.
Really?
Yeah. I noticed that was a bad side effect from it, which was a little scary.
Was it affecting aggression? People always talk about roid rage and shit. Like, were you snapping?
It made me want to hump. No.
Yeah, hump.
It made me want to fucking hump, dude. I'll fuck a mailman. I felt like a
Yeah.
damn dog, you know?
Yeah, really?
Oh, God. I
had
found myself running to the edge of the fence if the mail guy would drive off.
I had a guy, a
I was
friend of
keyed
mine
up.
that was in college that was juicing, and the way that he would snap after a while, I was like, yo, like this guy is about to fucking rip somebody's arm out of its socket. Like,
yeah.
he was, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm seeing this firsthand. It was pretty nutty. You know, he's just fucking,
Yeah.
all the time. I was like, holy fuck.
Oh, there was nothing like juicing back in the day, dude. My buddy and I met this fellow who's a homosexual, and he was a prize fighter, right?
Uh-huh.
And nobody knew he was. He was just like he'd grown up fighting, and then people would just think he was gay and around. Then he'd beat the shit out of somebody.
That's a fucking perfect combo.
It was
Yeah.
an insane combo,
Yeah.
right? People weren't ready for it. Like you're saying, like people want to put you in
Sure,
one box.
if you're a fighter, you can't be gay. Yeah.
Never had seen it.
Yeah.
So, so we became buddies. We're both bus boys, and we became buddies, and we started shooting up, and we'd pull over on the side of the interstate and stuff like that, and just douse each other up, and we're just driving around. Just, it was right around when Princess Diana had died too, and it was just a fucking lot. But I remember we would do a bunch of steroids, and I remember the first day I was in class where I guess the teacher had given me like every quarter she had this stack of papers and she would turn them all back to the students. She gave me this stack. And I'd had the stack before and it was usually kind of heavy in my hands.
Yeah.
And I just remember like she gave me the stack and I was like,
Oh, isn't that funny? You remember the weight of it.
yeah.
That this
like,
is
oh, this is
light. This is light work, baby.
Yeah. This is light work,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
So I remember walking around with this stack and I was like, oh, I'm a fucking different guy now.
Yeah. It's a good feeling.
And then I was doing all kind of shit. And I would buy shit that wasn't even steroids that people would tell me it was. And I was fucking had diarrhea for like 3 months one time, horribly. I put some, I mean, there's still some stuff. I took some kind of oil, like, I think some illegal oils or whatever. There was some things that I wish I hadn't taken, you know, probably. But at that time, it was so rare to get it. One time, we all went to Mexico for, school year thing or something, end of school, and people bought it back in shampoo bottles. So then you were fucking doing this sudsy, bubbly fucking,
Really?
yeah, like you felt like slippery all the time, but you were still doing,
I wish I remember being scared to try in high school.
yeah,
And there was a couple dudes that were doing it in high school, which I thought was like, because back then for me, like all you'd heard was like Lyle Alzado.
oh
and
yeah,
like,
he died.
Yeah, and you're like, hey, steroids, and I was like, oh, steroids are like the worst. And then there's a couple of kids, like 16-year-old kids, you know, on steroids, and one of them looked like he looked like a bodybuilder. Like he had a muscular man's body, and you kind of were like, that'd be fucking pretty nice. This guy's like, I mean, just fucking jacked. But I still was like, nah, if I do that, I'll die. Like that's what I thought, you know. Like I wouldn't do it. And then this dude went to college and got on. I saw him on a break, and I was like, I mean, he looked like a gorilla. I was like, what are you on? He's like, they got me on this shit called Darth Vader, and I was like, that's yeah, I see it. Like, yeah, I was like, yeah, I fucking see it, dude. He was fucking so jacked. I remember he went to Florida State, and
Yeah, that was that nation. Remember they had that movie that came out about Florida State?
yeah,
where
yeah,
they were doing the drugs, man.
yeah.
I think there was something that was definitely, it was big. It was big to get, if you could get on some roids, and then like, yeah, you would get a girl who was like always just afraid you were going to beat her. Some of those women, you know, like
Perfect girlfriend.
yeah,
yeah.
like she'd be like, don't beat me. She'd write that at the end of every like love letter or whatever. And you hadn't even thought about it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
but they get your wheels turned. It was
She sees what you do to tables and windows and shit. She's like, oh fuck, yeah.
Yeah, dude. There was a couple times where I fucking snapped, man, where you would be shocked at some of your own behaviors, you know? And then your strength matches your anger and you're just able to do something insane, you know?
Were you doing like traditional lifts when you were juicing too, like bench, squat, deadlift, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. A
Did
lot
you
of
hit-
that, some rows where
Did you
could
hit
fucking look at-
crazy numbers on them?
I probably got to maybe 260, maybe I could bench 245 or 260, which isn't insane, but for me it was.
Yeah, sure.
Squats I did okay, but I definitely remember, and I never thought I looked okay, so I really had some deficiency with
Sure.
my own brain.
Yeah.
I was always like, do I seem okay? I'd be embarrassed to take my shirt off at places.
You didn't have that Bert mentality at all.
No, the unlimited fucking like. I feel like Bert should just turn his stomach, get a nipple put on his, just make a third tit, you know?
It's almost there.
Like the biggest tit, like the winner tit.
Yeah, this is the main tip.
yeah,
right here.
dude.
Yeah.
Bro, how sick would that be if you went
That's
to see
pretty-
Bert?
yeah.
He's got two nipples and then like a little curtain and he pulls it over.
Yeah.
And it's like the
It's perfect.
unveiling.
Yeah. God, I saw a lady last night with the craziest tits.
Really good or bad or risque?
Wait, it was just, you know, when they were such outrageous tits.
Mm-hmm.
Like she was hot and they were enormous. And she was wearing the, you know, the top that goes here, but the top was just above the nipples. So I mean, just a covering, like you could almost see the beginning of a nipple, and they were like here, and then she has this little body, and part of you just wants to go like, hey, just why don't you just take a moment in the room and just go, hey, everybody, get used to them.
Yeah.
Like, why are we going to pretend like we're gazing past you?
Right, yeah.
Like, I kept having to pretend. I was like, what's that noise over there? I wasn't looking at a fucking noise.
Yeah.
I'm looking at your crazy tits. Your tits are insane.
Yeah, is that an owl?
Yeah, and then guys are like talking to me about other things. I go, we're going to talk about her tits first. Like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, yeah. I'm like, what do you think we're going to like gloss over this? Like, her tits are out. She has huge tits that are out in the room.
Yeah, it is weird not to just bring it up. It's like when someone's in a wheelchair and they try to pretend they're not in a wheelchair.
Oh my God, please. Like, and tell me some shit. How do you go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
You know, like I want to know.
Or like almost hit my head on that door frame. It's like, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Give me a couple of lines about what it's like. I'm going to tell you shit. Like, I'm going to be like, hey, let's race. Like, let's have a little fun with this.
Let's fucking get weird.
Yeah.
We had, who came out? Oh, The Undertaker came out to the show last night.
Dude.
Which is pretty crazy, dude.
I went to his house.
Nuh-uh.
Yes.
I think I heard he has a beautiful home. He was just describing some of it, not like in a braggy way, just saying that they lived here.
He is, you talked to him for a while?
Yeah, really nice.
The nicest, like one of the nicest guys I've ever met.
Him and his wife.
And
she had some bangers on her. And I shouldn't say that out loud. I mean, this is the damn Undertaker we're talking to who works for death.
Where was it? Is this at the...
This is at the Paramount.
At the Paramount?
Yeah.
You had Ron there too?
Yeah, it was nice, man.
That's awesome, man.
God, Ron looks great for... I mean, Ron is like 48.
I think he's a little older.
He looks fucking great.
He looks great. That head of hair too.
God, you almost want to fucking scalp him.
Dude, you do. You might get there. You might have that one day.
We'll see, man. I'm
Full
hoping.
head of white hair is pretty fucking cool, dude.
I would love that.
He is the coolest. No, I went over to it's so crazy to say it, the Undertaker's house. And and like he was like, come on in. It was just to check out a piece of workout equipment.
Okay.
And the people that I was talking to, I was like, I'd like to, they're like, do you want this thing? I go, I'd like to try it before I go, I want this thing.
Yeah.
And then they go, well, we could like, I have another client that, you know, would
Has
let you.
one?
I go, okay. And then they just like in a text, they were like, hey, Tom, this is Mark, he has it. And I was like, what's up, Mark? And then like a separate text came in. They're like, just so you know, Mark is the Undertaker. I was like, oh, okay, good to know. And then I just go over there. And he just couldn't be like more gracious.
Oh, he's wearing an apron and everything. He's
I
like,
mean,
come
he was,
on
yeah, he was
in.
like, here's a muffin. He was just like, no, but he was like, so, and then he was just like, yeah, try whatever you want. Like, gave us like the full tour. And then he was like, well, it was a real pleasure meeting you. And I was like, same. Yeah. And then later on, I go, thanks a lot for, you know, allowing us. And he sent like the most gracious text of like, it was an absolute pleasure to welcome you into my home. I was like,
oh, that's
what
nice.
the fuck is this, man? Like, this is wild.
But death will sneak you like that too. That's what death would do.
Yeah, that's true.
Come
it
on
would.
over
It would
here.
kind of taunt you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seduce you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I should watch out.
I
when
mean,
I'm around Mark.
Yeah, because if people bet on you or Bert to die, people would go Bert, huh?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. It looks worse every day, but
I wonder what a parlay would he be like. Yeah, I just feel like God.
bloated, red, you know, growing head. His head keeps growing, which is crazy. His head is swelling.
Yeah, that's the part
that's
for me.
the smart money. But then, like that guy that owns that mattress company, he'd be like, "I'm going to put $10 million on Tom." like you know, like he'd take the
Dude,
the risk.
you guys, that guy lives in Texas. You guys should get that guy.
Yeah, like who's going to die? He'd be like,
Yeah,
1,000%
bet on
Tom.
Because the bet's going to take for it'd probably be at least a semi-decent amount of time.
Yeah, that's true. He's too old for that bet, I think.
I don't know. It'd be interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
Bert could, if you bet the under on Bert, I think you could see some money this, you know.
Yeah.
You could see some money by 2028.
That's
But yeah, that MRI on Bert must just come back all fucking like the first part is appetizers. You're like, how is this that
I
report has
remember
appetizers?
he was
on?
doing the thing that people do who are, you know, who don't live healthy and are scared, which he was like avoiding like blood work and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I was like, dude, you got to do it. He's avoiding it. And then he did it. And you could see like he was like fidgeting his shit. And you're like, what is going on? He's like, just waiting for the phone call about my blood work. I don't know. And then you're like, oh, fuck. Like this, you know. And honestly, like all joking aside, you could be like, you're like, this might be like a serious call you get, right? And like then he FaceTimes me and he's like, what's up, bro? And I was like, what's going on? He's like, just got off the phone. Everything's fucking great. And I was like, wait, what? And he was like, the doctor told me to go celebrate with a drink. I go, your doctor says that? Like, what kind of doctor is this? Did you meet them at a strip mall? Like, he's like, I'm good to go. And I was like, I don't know, man. I'm going to give you the number of another doctor. Yeah, he was just like celebrating good blood work. I was like,
there's a Baskin Robbins in the distance of the FaceTime. Like
doctors don't go drink it up tonight. So yeah.
That's interesting, dude. You know, the sun can get you. Sometimes you see somebody and their eyes are missing. And you say, well, dang, what happened? And the sun got in them. They got too much sun in their eyes and the eyes can't handle it and they leave. They leave the body. But our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm weather and bright sunlight ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. That's right. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's as good as any expensive pair we've ever worn. And I lose the expensive ones anyway. And if you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. That's right. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code Theo for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. That's right. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Cold turkey might be good on sandwiches, but there's a better way to break your bad habits. That's right. We're not talking about some weird mind voodoo from your crazy neighbor or some seance or seance or whatever. I'm talking about Fume. Fume is an innovative award-nominated device that helps you break your bad habit. Instead of electronics, Fume is completely natural. Instead of vapor, Fume uses flavored air. And instead of harmful chemicals, Fume uses all natural, delicious flavors. You get it. Instead of bad, Fume is good. It's a habit you're free to enjoy and makes replacing your bad habit easy. That's right, Fume tastes good. It's more flavorful than you thought, and it feels fresh. That's one thing that I like. They're made out of real wood. If you like wood, it could be birch, it could be mahogany. You'll feel cool using it. Stopping is something we've all put off because it's hard, but switching to Fume is easy, enjoyable, and even fun. Fume has served over 100,000 customers and has thousands of success stories, and there's no reason one of them can't be you. Join Fume in accelerating humanity's breakup from destructive habits by picking up the Journey Pack. Take me home tonight. I don't know if that's Journey or not, but the Journey Pack today. Head to tryfume.com and use code Theo to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com and use code Theo to save an additional 10% off your order today. Do you remember the first tit you ever saw as a child and how it went out?
First tit I ever saw. No. I mean, you know what I do remember is, and this is really, it's sad that I feel like this generation just can't really experience this unless they make like a concerted effort, is that there used to be just like such an excitement around a woman in a bikini.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you just saw a breast, like just a nude woman, you were like, wow, right? And then you realize that like if you wanted obviously to see something like hardcore, you really had to make a real effort.
Yeah.
And now, like, you know, you pick up people have their like pornography libraries in their pocket, and so like that excitement
That
level
chase, yeah.
is like their bar for it is so elevated, which I think is kind of sad.
Yeah, really
You
sad.
know, they don't realize that like just like the idea of sex, the fantasy of it would be like enough for a long time, and then you're exposed to things where you're like, whoa, shit. And that's when it starts. Like that's when like you could really make a knock on it, that it's bad to have access to anything and everything. I remember seeing like erotic art and being like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. There's like these really great accounts on Instagram, and you realize if you see them, you're letting your mind
Do the work.
thing. Yeah, and it's actually pretty cool. I think it's actually a much healthier
Oh yeah,
thing to
dude.
do.
I
And
ruined a lot of myself with pornography.
It's yeah. I mean, like, and I'm very careful when I say it because I never like to bash them.
No.
Like I feel like they're you know, I know people in that industry.
Yeah, it's a great industry. It's a lot of great people in
There's
there.
a lot of great people in there, but I do feel like there's like anything, everything requires some balance.
Yeah.
And like you can go overboard on anything, on food, on drinking, and definitely on pornography or something. And yeah, I just feel like it's much better for you if you're young. I would be like, you know, if you're in that age where you want to like explore that, and when I say young, I just mean like, you know,
Oh yeah.
you know, you're getting into your sexual exploration. Like, man, try erotic art and see what it does for your brain. Like, let your brain tell you stories.
Yeah.
Because just like having this access to, and like just your search words and just seeing it play out, it's like what'll happen is like, it's not a theory. Your brain starts to, with time, reduce the dopamine levels that you're feeling. Like you get a dopamine drip from that stuff. But because all you have to do is type in what you like, then when you see it, you're like, oh, here's a little less.
Right.
And then the next search, you get a little less of it. And then pretty soon, the thing that was exciting to you, it doesn't even give you a thrill. That's why you hear people, they go, I had to raise the stakes. I had to raise the stakes. I had to raise it. And they just keep raising and getting crazier with it.
Getting weird.
Because
yeah.
it's too, like, if it's too easy to access, you're not going to feel the excitement. You're not going to feel the rush. I mean, when we were like coming up as like teens and stuff, I mean,
Oh, Peepin' Tommen was popular.
dude, you just like,
You
I
could
mean, your
see something.
sister's friends would come over and
Oh
just,
my God.
just seeing them lay around like by the pool or like just hang out watching a television on the couch. You'd be like, this is the most exciting thing that's ever happened.
Oh yeah, dude. I remember a girl asked me to hold her necklace while she swam one time, and I fucking masturbated like 3 times.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because I just had never even held something of a woman's for a while.
I totally understand.
I remember going to some girl's birthday party or something, and she invited like all the kids from the class or whatever, and like we would all like run into her sister's room and like try to find her underpants and stuff, and like
I remember
I don't even know how old her sister was. I might have been kind of like, we shouldn't be in here, you know?
Oh,
but
yeah.
it was still like just being kids, and like I remember hiding in my buddy's hamper at his house just to smell his mother's bras. And I'd hide in there for a fucking hour and just huff those cups.
Yeah. I bet that smells.
God, it just fucking.
Can you still
dude.
remember that smell?
I remember the color of the hamper. It was like a green color they don't even make anymore.
Yeah.
It was like an old green, almost like the color of the Wonder Years car, like the car that they had. It was like an old kind of pukish green almost that they wouldn't even market anymore. And it was just, God, but it was.
And it's just like, see, those are just little
good.
moments.
Yeah, but now it's just like you put in something, next thing you know. And I think nowadays, by the time you're 17, you don't even care about sex. You're like seeing it all. You have no
That's
fucking
no
desire.
fun, dude. That's not good for you.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible.
What else do we got? Anything in the anything in the news, Zach?
Yeah, we're looking at this. The world's dirtiest man died.
Ooh.
Oh, I remember this guy. Yeah. This is actually.
And is that blackface or not?
It's a little bit. I mean, he had not bathed with water or soap for over 60 years.
Wow.
Yeah, read that caption. I guess he would smoke a pipe filled with animal excrement, and he believed that cleanliness would make him ill.
Dude, that's pretty interesting. Because maybe cleanliness is is what's killing us.
Too much. So, like, if you think about in history of human beings, it's only in the last, I mean, not even 100 years, less than that. Think about it. It's probably in the last, like, I don't know, 60 or something years that human beings were like, hey, every day, maybe twice a day. Right?
With autism too, they're saying, like a lot of autism could be caused by metals in different soaps and things like that.
Yeah.
Because this dude doesn't look like he has autism.
From this photo, I can't tell, but he, I remember seeing this dirty. I mean, I wonder too, do you think there's just a level where you just stop smelling? Like, you know what I mean? Like, a couple of weeks in, you're like, you smell like shit, man, right?
Yeah.
But then after, like, I don't know, 30 years, you're just probably like, yeah, it just kind of evens out, right?
Yeah.
Like, he maybe doesn't, I bet you he tastes real bad, but I bet you the smell just kind of, it hit a level that your body, it's just trying to tell you a signal, stay away from this.
Yeah. Dude, when people can plant things on your back, that's probably a crazy time for somebody, you know? Wonder what I'd want to be the world's whattest man. Did you ever have a Guinness Book of Records? Did you ever have a record you wanted to try and get, even something small to you?
I was so fascinated by that. There's an age group where you're like an age range.
Oh, I was in that. That was the biggest. When that book came out at the book fair, or whatever, it was like, oh, dude, somebody did this. Remember the Chinese kids all hanging off the bicycle?
Yeah.
There was like one guy had like 40 Chinese people on his bike.
There's so many weird. Now they're even like, they're so insane. I remember, and also it's funny, my 7-year-old has because they release books now of it like each year. And he's like fascinated by it, just like, oh, the world record.
Yeah.
But I was watching their account, and I was like, okay, this shows you where it's at now. It was the guy attempting to break the world record for the most pine needles broken at one time.
Ooh.
And so he was hanging from like by one hand, and he's jumping into a box of pine needles. And you're like, you guys are crediting this as a, but that's when you're like, I just need to be in the book. I just want to be, you know. But that makes you realize that we could definitely just come up with one where they'll be like, yeah, there's no record for that yet. You know? Like, I mean,
dude, you and Bert should get a Guinness record.
we should get a record. You're right. That is true. It's got to be a tandem thing.
It would be interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like I could see you guys getting something very unique.
It's got to be, but like that pine needles thing is so dumb.
Yeah.
And unimportant and not hard. Like that's not hard to do. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like if you heard, you'd be like, damn, I could never do that. Like you can do that.
I want you guys to meet Larry, or you know him. He did all the pine needles.
I used to have like, when I was younger, like crazy flexibility with my index finger.
That's pretty good.
And
right
I used to be able to like lay it flat against my hand.
Oh, wow.
You know, and I remember having the illusion in my mind that in some
do
way,
something with this.
This will get me in the book in some
Right.
Like this, like I could go like lay flat.
That's
here
really
with it.
good. I'll be that little trebuchet, or I'll do something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'll work for a castle or something.
But I was actually, I think as like young boys, we were just fascinated by like this. Remember like Robert Wadlow, like the tallest guy ever. I was like, oh,
Yes, I remember
shit.
seeing pictures of him.
He's like 8'11". And then there was like the fattest guy. He was like, I don't know, like 800 pounds. So like anything that was like, this is a huge person. I was like, that's, yeah. look
Yeah,
at
that
guy.
was him right there.
Yeah.
God, he was from Illinois, I think, wasn't he?
Was he?
I'm just guessing, but he seems like they grow some long
That
stuff
is-
out there.
They sure do.
I would hate that, man.
That's the worst. You would never want to be, everybody wants to be taller. You don't want to be that tall.
Yeah, he was from Illinois, Alton.
And was it 8? It was 8 something? Was he like 8?
Look at him with his family down there on the left.
Yeah, he was 8'11".
Yeah.
Oh.
8'11". Do you think about that for a second? That this dude is nearly 2 feet taller than Shaq.
Wow.
2 feet taller than him. That's
Look at how
so
strange it would have been
yeah.
to be that.
Yeah, it seems like, I mean, they are at perfect blowjob height, but it's still like, it's not what you want,
Now that would be interesting
right?
to stand there and have someone, and they're standing as well. I think it would
Yeah.
feel very inform, like, or just natural, more natural than somebody having to get down on their knees or
Yeah.
you having to lay down. Like, oh, here I am, here you are.
A girl told me that she dated a very well-known NBA player who was really tall, and she was like, "Yeah, I could just blow him standing up." And I was like, "Wow."
That's got to be interesting.
And I was like, "Everybody's proud of you.
Yeah.
It's really cool."
Yeah.
What a great memory.
Yeah.
Think about what he's done and what you've done. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
He's got a couple rings, and you remember standing up to blow him.
Oh, sake.
Hey,
Yeah, there's
can
definitely
you
something about it.
see?
It would almost be like using a water fountain that you didn't have to bend over to use.
Yeah, exactly. How nice would that be? You just go, and it just shoots right down your mouth.
It'd be a lot.
Garth Brooks.
What happened? Oh, yeah, I saw this. Garth Brooks is
Yeah,
he's going to have Bud Light at his bar, Tommy.
Yeah, he's not gonna.
He's
not
refusing to ban it. That's hilarious.
Correct.
Yeah.
His explanation is right down here.
I know it sounds corny. I want it to be the Chick-fil-A of honky tonks about his new bar in Nashville. I want it to be a place you feel safe in. I want it to be a place where you feel like there are manners and people like one another.
And he added something there. And yes, we're going. Sorry,
Go down?
If you go down, he says, and yes, we're going to serve every brand of beer. We just are. It's not our decision to make. Well, yeah, it is your decision to make.
Yeah.
Our thing is this: if you are into this house, love one another. If you're an asshole, there are plenty of other places on Lower Broadway.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Shots
Okay.
fired, kind of.
Yeah.
And there it is, Dylan Mulvaney. They're going to get in there.
Do you want to hear something that I just heard?
Yeah.
So I've talked about him quite a bit, about Garth Brooks.
I know you guys have had some issues.
And I found out, I found out, first I got word about a year ago from like a 100% reliable source
Seems good.
that I was like, does he know? And they're like, oh yeah, he knows. And I was like, is he upset? And they're like, he's just like, doesn't get it, like doesn't know why you're talking about him. I was like, okay. And then recently, I guess, so he just blocked me on Instagram.
Oh.
And I was like, he finally blocked me, you know? And then another person told me, they go, yeah, I heard, this person said to me that they heard from a reliable source that when my name comes up to him, that he on his phone shows the video of me playing basketball and falling, and he goes, karma. No. Karma. Yeah. And I was like, that's fucking pretty amazing.
Wow.
That a serial killer is finding it in their heart to say karma for the other person. Like, this man has, I mean, people are saying this man is responsible for hundreds of missing people, and he's going to say that it's karma.
Well, yeah, somebody matched up. I saw something where they matched up like his tour dates with missing people.
That's the whole, that's the premise of this idea. Like, when people are like saying that I'm, like trolling the guy. All I'm doing is repeating what I've heard, that allegedly his tour schedule aligns with like dozens of missing persons.
Yeah.
And so, it's just something that like, at least you would bring up and talk. It's like, why do people talk about UFOs? Why have the conversation about something in the, like, well, because people are saying that could be a visitor from another planet.
Right.
Like, are we not going to have even a conversation about it?
Right.
If 75 people are missing and
there's
they're
an article
all
about it.
in cities that like he's
He's
just
been in.
I mean, it's logical to say, well, okay,
And look at him there. You telling me? I'm not
You're
saying
telling me
he's
that-
done anything.
but that's the smile and the stare of a guy who has never done anything illegal. I don't know.
And how much land he has too.
So much land.
You wouldn't even know if somebody was missing or if you'd put somebody somewhere or not.
So much land.
He's the Easter Bunny of bodies, kind of.
Oh yeah. And he's here's the thing, it's the perfect, you're so beloved that like,
Oh yeah, no one would see it.
Imagine the authorities too, they'd be like, I'm sorry, we were, this is crazy, but we actually had a dog that can smell, corpse, and it was on your property and it just went crazy. And then he'd be like, I'm Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah,
You're right.
you're right. sorry.
We're gonna head on out. Yeah, I don't know what we were
I'm
thinking.
sorry.
We signed this for my son.
Yeah, exactly. The dog actually had a seizure on your property. It never had a smell like that in its life. But
my son actually went missing on your property. In case he comes back, will you
could
sign
you
this for
sign this
him?
guitar?
Yeah,
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, G.
That's it, man. Yeah, do you think has there been like a really interesting guest that came out? I know Brad Pitt came out to one of your shows, which had to have been really insane.
That was really insane.
Is it almost is it a bummer meeting people that like, because once you meet them, you kind of have met them? Is there something about that?
I think that probably can happen, but then there's people where you're like, that was awesome. And they're either as cool or cooler than your brain imagines.
Yeah.
He was like that. He was rad. He was really cool. And there was so much excitement when because they go, he's coming. And then like security came to like check out the place.
Really?
Yeah. Just like not a big team, but just like, you know, it's something. I mean, honestly, somebody in his position should have that.
That's a good point.
Like, because basically I was like, so what do you do? Like, he's like, well, if I see that like a place is a problem, I'll just be like, I don't think you should come here.
Yeah.
You know, like a club or it's like a restaurant where like this is not a good area and he's like, you know, he's just like seeing where things are. And he's like, so I'm like his advanced guy. It was pretty low key, honestly. But then they were like, yo, Brad just parked. Everybody was like that. And then he came in, he just couldn't have been nicer and like, you know, introduce. The funniest was when a very famous person was like, hey, I'm Brad. And everyone's like, yeah, I know, you know, like, but he was just super nice. And I thought a lot of times I've had other notable people and what they do is they leave during something, you know, like famous people go, like they just kind of disappear. He stayed the whole show, came back after the show.
Wow. He was enjoying it.
He enjoyed it. And then it was a lot of fun. Then I ended up befriending Jason Momoa, Aquaman.
Oh, yeah?
In New Zealand.
Wow.
And that was really fun. And I hung out with him for another day.
Did y'all swim or anything?
No, we went to a bar and we hung out with like, I don't know, a group for like 10 hours.
Dang.
But he couldn't have been like, he's a real down to earth guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we met at the hotel gym.
No, that's cool.
He was like, I'll crouch down. You'd make you look taller. I was like, cool, man.
Oh, you look pretty happy right there.
It was fun. We had a fun time. Yeah, you know, and then Izzy came out in Auckland too. He I feel like he comes out.
He's a really special guy, huh?
He's a cool man.
There's something really interesting about him. There's something really amazing about New Zealanders in general, I think.
There is, yeah. And I think he has a really fighters are fascinating to sign up for that lifestyle. You know what I mean? Like to be like, I'm gonna do battle for a living. That was 2 tours. That was like in 2019. But yeah, he came again in this most recent tour, and I just enjoy the guy's energy. You know, just being around
100%.
him. Just being around him, and
very inspirational. Whether he wins or loses, he's very inspirational. A lot of these fighters are like that. There's something about a lot of them, whether they win or lose, because you just value so much that they even could do it.
Because they're actually really putting it. You know what it is like. Inherently, human beings, we respect stakes, and if you're a fighter, the stakes are very clear. Like you're putting your physical body on the line, to win or lose, and so. Everybody, we just respect the fact that like you're gonna like punch and kick and like, you know, to your fucking face, and like this could have like real lasting effects. So we just respect it so much. But I like that dude's energy, and I do find it inspiring to be around him. I like him a lot. Yeah,
there's something real special about him.
Yeah.
I was trying to think if I had anything else I wanted to ask you, Zach. Anything come to head?
We're watching this video, this like short guy standing up to these dudes in a parking garage. What do you think?
And I'm fucking ready.
This a tough guy right here.
Uh-oh, somebody's black.
No way.
Be careful. Be careful.
No.
Can't get that guy.
Get up out of here, bro.
Get in your car and go. Quit being on this dumbass shit. Security trying to save you. Ben trying to save you.
leave.
God bless you, man. Get in your car and get up out of here, man. God bless you, man. God bless you, man. Just go ahead and get in the car and make it home safe, man.
You know how good he feels right now?
So good. Dude.
Fucking Lee Syatt is like, I fucking took this shit down.
Make it home safe, buddy.
Damn, dude, Lee Syatt, bro.
No, I
how
love Lee.
fucked up did Joey Diaz get that guy?
Oh
dude?
my God.
How is there not a call to a welfare line?
Can
or
I tell you
for that
something
guy,
too?
dude?
Because I love Joey Diaz, but he was actually like a virus to that man. Like, do you know what has happened to Lee since party? He lost 150 pounds. Not an exaggeration. 150 pounds. He's like, oh, I'm free of Joey. Like he just totally has like blossomed. Look at him.
Oh my God, dude, he looks. He looks good.
He looks
huh?
exactly like the guy we just saw in the last
he
video.
does, dude. Holy shit! Look at him.
Congrats to Lee.
Yeah, Joey, be like, you're not doing well enough, Lee. You need another couple 2,000 milligrams, dude. Lee's over there wearing floaties. I'd never seen somebody so high. They had floaties on.
And here's the thing, Lee couldn't say anything, so he would be like, I'd be like, Lee, and he'd go, yeah. And I was like, are you all right? He's like, oh. And he'd forget to like click. He was just sitting there, snoring, sitting down, like, like snoring in his seat. And then Joey's like, look at this fucking idiot. He's like, you know what he does all day? He watches Sports Center. I hear his phone go, da-na-na, da-na-na. Like, get your fucking shit together, Lee. I'm like, you are crippling this man. Like, Sports Center is all he can handle.
He's working at Enterprise Rental now, dude. He's fucking doing good.
Dude.
Wow, yeah. There should be a documentary one day made on Joey and Lee and like a coming back together where they meet at a
1,000%.
park by a lake.
Is this them recently? That might be an old picture. That's an
It
old
was
picture.
nothing like those two. They were like, who was a better comedy
You know what this
duo?
is like though? This is like the guy on the left, Lee, gets locked up in prison with the veteran. You know, the guy that's been locked up. That's what their relationship was
exactly
like.
what it was like.
Here's what you're gonna do. All right, you stay away from the blacks. You mind your business. You shower when I shower. And then you eat this shit. It's just
dude.
like in another dimension.
Yeah, brother. He was 84 ounces of Alfredo.
Dude, he would melt his brain.
Unreal.
He would melt his brain.
Dude, there was a time, one of my favorite times ever, when I got there, there was, look at that fucking pillow somebody made.
Have you seen the one on where Lee is he falls asleep alone on
On the show?
Yeah, I think he's working it, and then he's like, oh fuck. Like he just it's I watched it. He's so fucking high
He's so good.
that he falls asleep and wakes himself up, and he's like, I don't even know what's happening. I don't know if he's streaming or something like on Twitch. I don't know what, but it's on YouTube, and it's so amazing. It's like Lee.
Dude, the best, one time I went in and there was a squeal in the headphones when I went in.
Yeah.
I was like, Lee, there's some feedback or something. By the end, 2.5 hours later, Lee was like this. He was the squeal.
Yeah.
And we had gone full fucking circle, man.
Yeah.
Kick that mule, Lee.
Look. Hold on. And listen to the audio. He's broadcasting right now.
Oh, damn, dude.
He's fucking out of his mind, dude.
That's a good place.
And that's if Joey is really close to you, this happens to you.
Oh, yeah.
When he drugged me,
Yeah.
he fucking tricked me. He's done it a couple times, but the worst one was when I was in Miami. And he told me I was taking a 10. And it just it ruined 2 days of my life, right? Like 2 days of my life. And I was crying and shit.
Oh, yeah.
I was on a flight with him.
Oh.
And he's like, "Oh, you need a baby Xanax right now." I was like, "For what?" He goes, "Evens you out." I'm like, "I don't think this is the fucking
You
formula."
need a
for this."
chewable, son.
Yeah, get a chewable. And I go, "Dude," and when I finally recovered, I called him. I was like, "What the fuck, dude?" He goes, "You needed it." I go, "I needed what?" "You needed a reset." And I go, "Why did I need one?" He's like, "It's good for you." I saw what was happening. Like this kind of
yeah, he
vague.
always says that. Yeah,
what was
yeah.
happening? He's like, "Nah, you were getting, you're a little. It's good now. Now you're ready to go." I'm like, "Ready to go? Where am I going?"
Yeah, I'm at a Greyhound station.
Yeah, man, I was fine. He's like, no, I did you a favor. It was fun. I go, for who?
He is, dude. He's the best salesman, bro.
Yeah, he just says like these little, and he says it with his like little phrase.
You're doing great, yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, that's.
God loves you, buddy.
Yeah, and you're like, now you could get back to chopping up vinegar and carrots. And you're like, the fuck are you talking about, man?
What about that Owen Benjamin? Oh, he's fucking lost his mind, huh? He'll say shit like that and then fucking just disappear, dude. Unreal. Unfucking real, dude. Look, if that doesn't do it, I don't know what does. Tom Segura, thanks for hanging out with us, man.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah,
Thanks.
same here, dude. I'd
Thanks.
love to come back on a Two Bears sometime. That was
Let's
a blast, bro.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, thank you so much, man.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Now I'm just floating on the breeze, and I feel I'm falling like these leaves. I
was great,
must
man.
be cornerstone